The morning sun gently kissed the hills of Adoni, its golden rays spilling over green mango trees and long stretches of cassava farms. Red dust floated in the air, stirred by bicycles and okada riding past. In the center of the village, palm fronds swayed lazily above small compounds. Ifeoma sat outside her parents' house on a wooden stool, hands trembling as she plaited her hair. Every sound, distant laughter, a crying goat, the scrape of pesos, told her that her last morning as a free woman had come. Her mother appeared with a bowl of water and a faraway look in her eyes. "My daughter," Mama began softly, hands on Ifeoma's shoulders. The engagement ceremony would begin soon, and Ifeoma felt her heart thud in her chest like the talking drum of a village dance. Today, she was going to become the bride of Chukwuma, the wealthy businessman from Oku village that her parents had accepted for her. Tradition was tradition. Inside the compound, relatives had gathered, tying their wrappers and singing. Chukwuma's family had sent kola nuts, yams, and crates of drinks. But all Ifeoma felt was fear. Uchenna, her childhood friend and first love, had already left the village last night after hearing of her betrothal. Ifeoma wished he had fought for her. Deep inside, her soul burned with sadness. As Ifeoma's hands were painted with woolly designs and beads were draped around her neck, she stared into the cracked mirror. The face looking back at her was beautiful but tired. Her parents had chosen security over her happiness. Even as her father gave a short speech about honor and tradition, she fought back tears, hoping nobody noticed. Chukwuma was already waiting in Lagos. A flashy car would come to pick her up after the ceremony, to whisk her into his world, a world where she would live in marble halls, drive sleek cars, and wear lace dresses that smelled of perfume and money. But none of it could soothe the ache in her heart. When the crowd finally quieted and Ifeoma's father led her to the center of the compound, every pair of eyes fixed on her like tiny needles. "My daughter," Papa began, voice solemn, "this is the path of a good Igbo woman." The words felt like iron shackles as she nodded politely. A tear threatened to escape, and she quickly blinked it away. That night, under a moon heavy as a ripe orange, Ifeoma was bundled into the car that would take her to Lagos. She pressed her palm against the glass as the village disappeared into the dark hills. Her heart throbbed with each mile. Deep inside, she kept hearing Uchenna's gentle voice saying, "You deserve to choose your happiness." Lagos was loud and strange. Honking cars, neon billboards, and hurried crowds surrounded her like a restless ocean. Chukwuma's house was large and cold. White tiles, glass windows, and expensive furniture filled every room. But there was no soul, no warmth. Ifeoma felt like a stranger even as Chukwuma greeted her with a polite kiss. Days passed with an eerie routine. Chukwuma left early for work, returning after dark. Ifeoma spent her hours alone, wandering from room to room, feeling like a ghost trapped in someone else's dream. Sometimes she stood at the balcony, staring at the noisy street below and wondering if this was all her life would ever be. When Chinedu, Chukwuma's cousin, visited one evening, Ifeoma felt the first spark of real conversation in days. Chinedu was funny and kind, telling stories about their village, making her smile despite the ache inside. But even his kindness felt like a fleeting breeze in a desert of loneliness. And then, one morning at the market, she saw him. Uchenna. Older, hands rough from work, eyes glowing like they carried all the sunlight of home. Her heart leapt. They spoke in hurried whispers as people pushed past them. "Ifeoma," Uchenna said, hands trembling, "I never stopped looking for you." That day, she walked back to Chukwuma's house feeling alive again. Her thoughts were tangled. Uchenna was here, in Lagos. Could they still fight for their love? Could she leave this gilded cage and choose her own path? Every heartbeat was a question. That night, she lay next to Chukwuma as he slept, her hands aching with unspoken fears. The house was so quiet it felt like it was holding its breath. Tomorrow, Uchenna had promised to wait for her at the park. Could she risk seeing him? Could she risk losing everything? Morning came too fast. The world outside was bright and loud, but inside her heart was a trembling storm. Slipping into a simple dress, she told the housekeeper she was going to buy fruits and left before anyone could stop her. At the park, Uchenna was waiting under a jacaranda tree, hands shoved into his pockets. When he saw her, his face broke into a smile that made her eyes stain with tears. "Ifeoma," he whispered, and for a moment, it was like they were children again, running barefoot across village paths. He spoke of their past and their dreams, of going back to Adoni, starting a small business together, of a simple life full of laughter. Every word tugged at Ifeoma's soul. But even as they spoke, a dark shadow hovered, Chukwuma and the weight of her family's expectations. "I can't do this," she whispered, hands trembling as she fought the tears. Uchenna held her hands tightly. "You deserve to be happy," he replied. But could happiness ever grow from dishonor? Could she break tradition and live the life her parents had chosen for her? That evening, as the city buzzed outside, Chukwuma came home early. His gaze was sharp as a knife. "Where did you go today, Ifeoma?" The house felt suddenly smaller, the air too thick to breathe. She felt caught between two worlds. That night, Ifeoma stayed up long after Chukwuma slept, staring at her hands. Every choice would leave a scar. Her parents' hopes, Uchenna's devotion, Chukwuma's expectations, they tangled around her like vines. Could she bear to tear them all down? More days passed in restless silence. The house began to feel like a beautiful prison. Chukwuma never raised his voice, never hurt her, but Ifeoma felt trapped in a story that wasn't hers. And then, Chinedu visited again, this time with troubling news. "Chukwuma knows," he warned softly. Ifeoma's heart froze. "He's been watching you," Chinedu whispered. Fear wrapped its hands around her throat. That night, Chukwuma's eyes held a strange light as they sat across from each other at dinner. The clock ticked loudly. Ifeoma felt like a trapped bird, her wings trembling, her soul aching to fly. By morning, she had decided. Heart thudding wildly, she packed a small bag and slipped a note onto the table. Outside, the Lagos sky was tinged pink with dawn. Uchenna was waiting, or so she hoped. Every step felt like crossing a fragile bridge that could collapse at any moment. But as she reached the gate, a car pulled up with a screech. Chukwuma stepped out, his face carved in stone. "Going somewhere?" he asked calmly, too calmly. Time froze. Her breath caught as she stared into his dark eyes. Every choice she had made until this moment rushed back like a tide. And there she stood, hands trembling, heart racing, one foot past the gate, the other trapped inside. Uchenna was nowhere in sight. Chukwuma's gaze never left her face. The morning breeze whispered against her cheek like a ghost. What would happen next? Would she fight for her freedom, or would the silent tears she had shed so long continue to haunt her forever?
Stay tuned for the next episode.